Trump's walkout at UFC 309 grabbed many fans' attention this weekend. The Jon Jones-Stipe Miocic fight was the biggest heavyweight fight of all time, allegedly that is, and Donald Trump was there to witness it all. The president-elect of the United States was in attendance once again for a UFC card. Some people have a problem with this, and some people don't really care, like myself, and others are very happy to see this. Ariel Helwani is one of those who is not a big fan of showing Donald Trump in totality during the UFC 309 or any kind of UFC walkout. It's interesting that he says this because, as many people probably suspect, and many people out there, whatever side you're on, you like it when your guy wins. You don't like it when he doesn't win. You like it when somebody supports your guy. You don't like it when somebody doesn't support your guy, or vice versa. So it's all very heated. It's all very controversial one way or the other. And it's interesting here that Ariel has this take on it all because, honestly, Donald Trump, longtime friend of Dana White, longtime friend of the UFC, he gets a special treatment. Now he's going to be the president. It just ups the stakes a little bit more. Sports and culture are upstream from politics. Politics is downstream from the culture at large, which means when stuff is going on in the culture, in sports, in entertainment, whatever it is, politics usually follows suit years later. People talk about, the involvement of the woke stuff in sports and politics and all that stuff. Well, politics followed all that later on. Once stuff starts to happen in the culture, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, politics starts to follow suit later on. Politics gets to wherever the culture is a little bit later on. That's the point here. Let's see what Ariel had to say about Donald Trump's walkout. I don't know if I agree with him really at all here. It's a little bit odd from him, but let's take a listen.
That occurred at UFC 309 with Chael. I think you both missed a key point. Trump's walkout of 309 included the new director of national intelligence, head of HHS, head of the Department of Government Efficiency, Speaker of the House, and the president-elect's kids. Chael's argument that this, quote, wasn't about politics is absurd. I agree. I get that Trump is Dana's friend, but this was political gloating and sports propaganda at its finest. If Ramzan Kadyrov got the same treatment at an event in Abu Dhabi and walked out with his allies, would we say it's political propaganda? If Jacinda Ardern walked out like that in New Zealand with her cabinet, would it be sports propaganda? I'm not even saying I'm anti-Trump, but when we start analyzing how every fighter interacts with them after their fight, it's getting absurd thoughts. I mean,
It has a lot to do with what it is. It's not direct politics, but it's politicking at large, okay? Yes, it is not politically whatever. There's no drive behind it, but it's happening because Dana White likes Trump. He wants to push Trump's message. He's in charge of the UFC. He can do what he wants. Just like the UFC a couple of years ago, some people hated it, some people didn't care, and some people were against it, but all that Black Lives Matter stuff that was on the fields of the NFL, on the courts of the NBA, they did what they did, and whatever. Sports is all about politics. Politics is interwoven with sports, and that's just a fact of life. If you say separate sports from politics, well, you just can't. And let me read this from Blaine Henry himself. Good post here. I really like what he's saying here. While certain criticisms are fair here within this video, which we'll get to in a second, to suggest politics being injected into sports as something new is just false or ignorant. Politics and sports, they're basically the same thing. They're all part of the culture at large. Again, politics is downstream from culture. Whatever happens in the culture will follow suit in politics. The Olympic Games are political by nature. Both athletes and politicians in the past have always dealt with each other. Champions in the U.S. get to go to the White House to visit the president. Barack Obama was at a lot of Bulls games from Chicago. A big deal was made about that too. Athletes have used their stand for politics for forever. Remember Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. Schmeling didn't even support the Nazis as a German, and he was still roped into whatever was going on down there. Tommy Smith and John Carlos protested on the podium promoting Black Power and bringing attention to the civil rights movement. Like it or not, politics and sports are intertwined at a fundamental level. For Helwani to suggest that the UFC is doing something never before seen by having a president in their political pals show up is just silly. Now, did they play it out a little bit longer because Trump just won the presidency? Yes, but get over yourself. This is part of what happens in sports. I don't really like it. I don't like the politics or part of sports from my perspective. I don't like it at all. I didn't love all the Black Lives Matter stuff back in the day, but it wasn't like hurting my feelings. It wasn't bothering me deep down, and neither does Trump bother me deep down one way or the other. If Kamala Harris or Joe Biden won it, I would hope they show up to the UFC because it brings a lot of eyeballs on the UFC because it's the fucking president of the United States showing up to human cockfighting stuff. Things that politicians were fighting completely against not but 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And now the president's showing up to it. I don't care who the president is. It's a fucking big deal when they show up. Okay?
Essentially, what I was getting at, it's a lot. We've never really seen this before in North American sports, where a politician, people want to call it he wasn't back in 2001, or he's the anti-politician, this and that. He is a former and soon-to-be current president. Getting this type of treatment. It's one thing to have him in the stands and saying hello to everyone and greeting them or whatever. This is completely different. He's getting a video package, a walkout, music.
Who cares? All the conservative pundits out there, I see them saying this is the greatest, moment in sporting history. Dude, this happens every 3 months. Trump shows up to fights every 3 or 4 months. Who fucking cares, okay? I don't hate it. It is what it is. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just part of what it is. Get over yourselves. Okay? That's on the conservative side. It is what it is. And then on Ariel's side, who clearly seems to have some kind of problem with Trump, even though he interviewed him back in the past. What do you mean politicians have never been involved in sports? What are you talking about?
Multiple mentions. I mean, they're breaking the fourth wall. He's hugging DC and Rogan and all the guys and all the fight. I mean, it's completely different. How anyone can acknowledge that, good or bad. It's different.
I'm not even good or bad. I'm not even, that's just part of you don't like it. So you're just gonna, it's not good or bad. I'm gonna take the middle road. Take a fucking hard stance, okay?
It's unlike anything. It's unique. We have never seen this before.
Unlike anything we've seen. Unique. Get over yourself, man. Dude, politics and sports have been intertwined for forever. My God. Again. But now that you disagree with it, you have a problem with it. On both sides. This is stupid. When you disagree with it, but you are fine when it happens for your favor, it's just part of it, man. Whether you agree or disagree, grow up and acknowledge that sports and politics are intertwined. Culture is upstream from politics. Again, I'll say it again. Just whatever. Ariel, a little bit crazy here, being stupid, ignorant. He doesn't like what's happening right now in the UFC with Trump being the president, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Dude, again, I don't even care what you guys think. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to get into that. But to say this and foolishly say that it's unique and brand new and nothing's like this has ever happened. He's been walking out like this for 3 or 4 years now. Insane. Ariel Helwani going off on politics and sports, but honestly, politics have always been in sports. And if you don't understand that, get over yourself. So let me know what you guys think about all this mess in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.